Hello, Northstar here with another episode of my Avorion Let's Play. Somehow, at least if I'm reading the YouTube statistics correctly, this seems to be my second most popular Let's Play series after Pushing Craft of all things. So, I appreciate you folks watching, I guess. I enjoy this game. I'm a little bit surprised the more narrative-driven game Wildermyth isn't more popular, relatively speaking. But space games are cool, so who am I to complain? Got my ship here with some very basic systems and turrets, and it's still considered weak for the area. Let's see, I was trying to mine some materials before everything has a greenish tint simply because it's made from naonite rock. But I'm looking for actual concentrated ore. If I mined an insane number of unconcentrated ore, I would eventually get like 1 or 2 units of naonite, but it's not efficient at all. At least I swear that was the case before. They may have even eliminated that, the dev. Well, he, not they. I believe it's a guy. And it's not more than one person. Just gonna have to scan through. This is frustratingly slow. Apologize for slowish turnaround time. I have been stressed out and very low energy and a lot of things, a lot of pain for my sinuses lately. I have long COVID, but that's not all. I'm in a freaking temperate subarctic kind of climate, which screw that. Why do human beings think that's an appropriate place to live? I'm stuck here because with my long COVID, I don't really have any options of where I live. I have to stay with family because one of the things, I'm too sick to work, and the government screwed me out of disability by missing some of my work experience and saying I can't update it because it was more than 39 months ago. 39 months and 2 weeks is the specific deadline, which is insane. I wasn't going to be in my mid-20s checking to see if they had the correct work history, if they're missing stuff I did while I was in grad school or after. And so because I spent time in grad school, which meant less total work, plus they're missing 5 of the jobs I did, and they only have the very last shift for a 6th job I did, and they're not, as far as I can tell, letting me update that. They're screwing me out of disability, and I have to stay with family. There's disability in the United States is split between SSDI, which is a stupid work credit system they're fucking me on, and they've been fucking people on for 50 years since they made the current system. Well, less than 50, 78 I think is when the current system came into being. Came into effect around 80 because laws get passed earlier than they come into full effect. So they've been screwing people for over 40 years with this way, and it's just gradually gone worse. There's also SSI, which is purely asset-based, but has an asset limit that hasn't been updated in I'm just gonna have to move. I can't find any or asteroids this way. It's not working. Maybe if I move around, I'll visually spot one. The asset limit is insanely low and hasn't been updated in forever. It's $1,000 total. though there's exemptions for a car you own, which I do own a car, but also a house, which this is one more way that middle class people get privileged, even in this, over the poor or young. In my case, I obviously don't own a house at my age, given how much houses cost these days and how I spent all this time in grad school and trying to become a physician. I did a master's. Tried to get work in biotech until I could get into med school, but family screwed me over. Didn't fall on a promise to help me move out of a rural state where I did my master's, and I got stuck there for a couple years. By the time I saved up the money myself, working low-wage jobs in that rural area to move, I'd been on my field too long, and no one hired me to work in my field, which was in the sciences. Assumed I must have done something wrong to have been working as low-wage jobs in that time period, when it was really just I got screwed by family. Mind you, it doesn't have to work this way. To give an example of a system, not saying that we should copy everything it did, but this at least is worth emulating. It did something differently. Soviet Union used to place people after they finished college based on exam scores, like their in grades in college. They would enter a ranking system, and people with the highest rankings would get their choice of being relocated to where they wanted, anywhere in the Union, including the Baltic states, Warsaw Pact countries. You actually got a lot of people who left the colder parts of Russia for the Baltic states, because this, which led to the Baltics becoming very nationalistic, were being absorbed culturally by the Russians. It was really just young people wanted out of the cold climates and wanted to live on the coast, and being in a coastal area is always a huge economic boon for any nation through any period in history. It's so much cheaper to trade by sea than any other way. So the economies there were more jobs. But anyways, although this can create problems with migration between regions, as it did there, it allowed young people they got free government provided relocation to where they wanted to go. If your scores are high enough, you had your pick, and if your scores are lower, you had what was left after the top scores it picked. And a little bit of economic assistance for like the first year until you were settled into your job, after which you were expected to work continuously. There was a government jobs guarantee, so if you lost a job, the government helped you get a new one. But you had to accept the jobs if you if you continuously rejected job offers, you could eventually get fined and go to prison for, I forget what they called it. So it wasn't a perfect system, but there was guaranteed employment and guaranteed relocation assistance after college, and that's the parts that are worth emulating. Spain also has a subsidized apprenticeship program these days, since, well, not as comprehensive as the Soviet one was. It's a capitalist country and perhaps closer to, easier to, I'm just going to have to jump to another sector with asteroids. Maybe this one will have some, maybe easier to take lessons from current day Spain and apply those to the United States. Anyways, so that people don't, this may sound unnecessary, but for people who finish school in a rural area and can't go to where there are jobs because they don't have the money to relocate to a rich coastal city where there's jobs in their field, if they're in a high capital field like the sciences or engineering, where you can't just, there's not going to be employment in the middle of nowhere in your field. You have to be in a major coastal city. Finance, science, engineering, there's certain fields you have to be in cities for. And it's expensive to move a city. You need first, last month's rent, security deposit, and broker's fee usually. So minimum of 4 months rent at city rents. And that's just to move. If you want to be able to stay put for literally more than 1 month, you need at least another month's rent. And realistically, that means you need like 6 months' rent to move to a city, which is a lot with how much rents are in big, rich coastal cities. If you come from a poor background, that's prohibitive and it prevents you from pursuing opportunities. And it's not like banks will lend you money to relocate, usually. Being poor is expensive and you don't have access to capital that can make investments in your life that even you know it'll pay off. So, it's just one of the systematic injustices that exists in the U.S. How this all ends up working out in the end. Never look at a system, just judge it by what it claims to want. Judge it by the outcomes. And when you judge it by the outcomes, the system is very unfair. Anyways, I got stranded in a rural area after grad school. It was a period of unemployment, but I worked. I worked very hard and worked multiple jobs at once. And then the Social Security Administration did not have a lot of those jobs they didn't put in their history. And then when I moved, saved enough to relocate, I did that and got to coastal state. I tried getting jobs and I failed, but that out too long, so I ended up having to retrain as an EMT and work as an EMT, which I couldn't do in the rural area because if anyone here knows anything about EMS, in rural areas, mostly the EMTs are people who are experienced EMTs who used to work in the cities and then move out to rural areas where the cost of living is lower. The expectation is that you have many years of experience if you want to get a job in EMS in a lot of rural areas. The only way to get that is to start in a city. So I couldn't even do that in a rural area. But I did that when I got to rich coastal state and nearest big city, and then was working hard. Then I had a coworker who was applying to special master's programs. I never even heard of such a thing. He explained it was a program where you basically did part of a either modified advanced pre-med curriculum or part of the first year of an MD, depending on the program. Some would literally slice off part of the first year of an MD and stretch out over a longer period of time. Others would do a curriculum that was distinct but more advanced than what a pre-med would do in undergrad. Either way, you did well in these classes. It greatly enhanced your competitiveness for medical school. Since I've been trying to get to med school this whole time, in fact, the first stint in grad school had only been about giving myself better job opportunities until I could get there, which that part didn't work out, but I was smart to think I would have very few opportunities without that education. I didn't realize I'd get stuck in a rural area like I did. Sorry, I know I hope I'm not boring you folks talking, but I'm just mining an asteroid here, so fill in the space. Sharing something at the same time, my experiences. Explaining how things that might not seem plausible or understandable, or some of you might think I'm lying if you didn't have all the details and understand these pieces fit together, but what I say is true. When you get all the details, it makes sense. Things that happened to me. So I went, this coworker encouraged me to apply to a couple of these programs. They're rather prestigious and hard to get into, and I didn't think I would get in because I've had, terrible luck my whole life with most things, and I went to very good undergrad school. I was very lucky to get in there, and I actually had to transfer there. I don't know. I'd always been unlucky my whole life, and I just figured it would not work out. Pirates. What key did I assign to select enemies? R. far are they from me? Shoot. They're right over there. Eject all your cargo and we'll spare you. Haha, just kidding. You're as good as dead. I don't see any anti-piracy patrols in the system. It's a remote system. Fair remote, which means they're coming for me. Your velocity is high. Okay, my only chance is to jump. Might as well mine into my nav computer. There we go. Should be almost done. Just need to put some distance first. Am I outrunning them? Not quite. Trying to see if I have a chance against him before I jump. Nope. I am doing a little damage. Taking more. Way more. Yep. My ship is definitely durable enough to escape, but it's not well armed enough to destroy the pirates. So that interrupted my mining. Even if I had set an AI captain off-map mining, you'll periodically get ambushes, which are kind of like that. Except if you don't attend to them, the ship will get destroyed. That sucks. That interrupts my mining progress, my accumulation of resources. Whatever. Ship's in one piece. Can't complain. None of my crew died. None of my parts got destroyed. I do have some resources to sell before I jump back there. Modify my trajectory here. Got a fairly good intuitive sense of how to curve trajectories to where I want them from a lot of playing KSP over the years. Kerbal Space Program. For those who don't recognize the acronym. Which has much more realistic physics in this game. No subspace friction nonsense, so the only way you're going to change your velocity is by burning. If you want to stop, you burn retrograde. Well, stop relative to an object. If you truly stop moving, you either fall into a planet or the sun. Because orbit is actually the state of moving so fast that you fall and never hit the ground. As one person once charmingly and accurately put it. Alright. There's no equipment dock here actually, so I don't know how long it'll be till those pirates are dealt with. They're probably not even there anymore, so I'll go and check. I don't know. So I'm a hard worker, and as a child even was tested and shown to be a genius. Oh, they're getting devastated. So it's not like I was too dumb or too lazy to make something myself. No, I got screwed by the injustices in the system. By a system that forces you to rely too much on, say, the generosity of family, which if your family sucks or is poor, or a combination of two, in my case. With like abusive father, mother is arguably mentally ill, poverty on top of it, main mental illness just being pretty bad, depression in her case, but that's still mental illness and affects her ability to function. So, oof. Is that debris gonna hit the... Nope. Thankfully not. If it hit the station, I think it would have penalized me. To get a nice weapon here, fierce laser. It's better DPS than I've currently got assigned, I'm pretty sure. Unpoint defense laser. Decent stuff. Could sell it and buy cheaper stuff that's more directly pragmatic, but I lose so much value. I should probably just equip it. Even if lasers are normally not the most cost-effective weapons. If you salvage one. Anyways. Oh, they're still in the system. Oh god, they're trying to destroy the research station. Which is so far doing alright. It won't be forever. What I do not know is if the faction that controls the system technically will eventually send a fleet to reinforce. Protect that station, or if it'll eventually get destroyed. If it does, I suppose there's salvage. So that will hurt the local economy. Nothing I can do to stop it. This is that same Asteroid I was working on. It even seems to be damaged. Maybe? No, I don't see. Maybe it recovered the health of parts that were remaining, but it does seem to be misshapen, like the missing pieces. From where I was mining it, maybe. I was mining it from this side. Oh, yeah, no, it's exactly as I left it. If I had better mine turrets or more of them, this would proceed faster. So where was I? All my life history. So, you know, my goal had always been to get to med school, and I wasn't getting younger. I was working as an EMT, and a partner who I liked and respected a lot. I was going to apply special masters, and so I'd do the same. I believe this guy also, if I'm not mixing up with someone, my memory's kind of flawed. I'm not mixing up with a different coworker. Unfortunately, my long COVID memory, there's gaps, and sometimes it mixes people up and stuff. He also ended up applying as well to the city EMS and wanted me to come with him. They paid better working conditions, better training. However, you had to get through an intensive training regimen that was even experienced EMTs had to go through it, and then a lot of people can get selected after that were washed out. Even if you made it through, then you had to, well, not even, but if you made it through, then you had to commit to working for them like a couple years. If I got into special masters, that wouldn't have been practical. I don't know, I was just getting settled into the place I was working. That partner had been there longer, was more ready to make a change. And it turned out to be wise not to the city EMS because I did get into the special masters. I applied and I went and got straight A's, which amazed even myself. I never expected to do so well. I actually got a giant target on my back because one of my peers were jealous, and I understand how. I mean, I worked incredibly hard because I had a very unlucky life, never gotten a lucky break, never gotten a chance. Seemed to finally have here an opportunity to actually make it to med school, which I'd been stonewalled out of for reasons that were unfair, like not having as many great clinical experiences under my belt, which a lot of people get. They're like family connections. They know a doctor and they shadow them for years, or are able to volunteer in the clinic. And I was just able to do the standard hospital volunteering programs where you might get people blankets, which aren't worth much. And I'd even had trouble getting into EMS because, as I said, I was stuck in a rural area where I couldn't break into it. And I able to move to a city where I could easily break into it until a couple years after grad school. So it was a while till I was even able to do that. So I've been screwed so many ways, and the med schools themselves, I think, are always suspicion of the lower paid jobs after grad school. Like I did the wrong again, and it was due to money, due to being stuck in a rural area and saving money to both apply to med schools and to move, and taking a chance applying even before I got out of that rural area, which cost a bunch of money. But anyhow, because I just wanted to get to where my dreams were as quick as possible. Med schools do not adequately correct for economic disadvantage. The way they define it is very problematic and excludes a lot of, honestly, white working class people, while including mostly minorities. That's not to say that it's intentionally designed that way at all. But there's also like this almost eugenics-like idea that runs rampant in elite institutions, including med schools are all elite in a sense in this country, that people from minority groups are only, some of them are very smart and just held back by race, which is true, but if you're white and working class, you must just be genetically inferior and stupid somehow. I mean, that you'll never hear someone say it, but that there's a subtext to that. If you're not disadvantaged by race, economic disadvantage isn't real, and that's partly because the politicians, they don't want economic disadvantage to be emphasized in this country, and they've shaped the culture to try and claim that there's equal economic opportunity. And of course the right-wing politicians even try and ignore the racial inequality. That's all lies. There's racial and economic inequality in the country. And there's all kinds of disadvantage. They're harder to account for, like abusive parents, growing up poor should not be that hard to account for, but is often ignored. Mentally ill parents, you have stuff like that, you're going to have a much harder time than someone even has a great supportive family and maybe comes from a rich background but happens to be a minority. It's not to say that being a minority isn't a disadvantage. It's a huge disadvantage. It's to say that disadvantage is a multifactorial thing, and there's intersectionality between race, gender, socioeconomic status, how good of a family you have. These things work synergistically to hold people back sometimes. Things like if you're LGBTQIA, you can add you get 2 or 3 things that are holding you back and you're screwed, even if they're not the ones that are most powerful individually. Anyways, but there are opportunities, and the thing that had always kind of existed that for wealthy white kids who didn't make it to med school was these special master's programs. Poor white kids usually didn't do them because they're expensive and a huge risk, and they don't hear about them. I was lucky to hear about it from a coworker who was from a wealthier family, even though he was working as an EMT. I didn't even know such a thing existed. And indeed, almost everyone in my class was from a rich family. I was like the one poor kid, except for, let's see, I think there were maybe a dozen of us from poor backgrounds. I have a class in the 3 digits. That should give an idea of how much this was full of rich kids, this program. But, of course, the other special master's program in the area had a more economic diversity. This one was the more prestigious one. It had more of the richer kids. I actually didn't get into the other one, which surprised me because it was a lot easier to get into normally. And I would have fit their typical demographic better. Whatever, doesn't matter. Maybe my essay didn't resonate as much with them. I mean, it does matter, but you'll never know why I didn't get into that one. Since it had lower match rates in medical schools, I probably went to Pitt anyways if I... Who knows, maybe the program's coordinated and they said if we accept this student, you won't accept them so that we can keep our programs get... one thing people look at is what a percent of people are admitted go to the program, and if it's higher, programs get ranked higher. So, it may have been an informal agreement like that, which limits applicant options, but helps the schools. Regardless of all this. So, I worked very hard, was getting straight A's, was almost done with my program, was definitely going to make it to med school, become a physician. I did special masters actually in med schools, which has created me all sorts of headaches when, like dating apps, where they want you to list your most recent education history, and it was at a medical school, and then people immediately assume I was a doctor. When they see that, I have to explain, no, I was a grad student at the medical school. Which, I mean, it's not just masters, it's like PhDs who go to med schools, you'd think, but these young women, half of them are bots or scammers, and the other half just want to date doctors who ask dumb questions like that. That's not everyone in the app. I'm saying the people who ask stupid questions that show they weren't paying attention. They're a mix of scammers, bots, and people who only want to date doctors. Self-centered people who I probably won't want to date anyhow. So, prefer people are kind and generous and, intellectual. It's not enough just to be a pretty face, although that always helps. Anyways, by generous, I mean like emotionally generous, understanding people, not judgmental people. Like, I will not date a racist as a matter of principle, for instance. These people are small, mean spirits. Generally speaking, they're ignorant people who never learn to empathize with others. Not always. Sometimes they're just a product of their background, but often. People can grow, nonetheless. Gotta have standards. I'm white, of course, so I say I won't date a race. It's not because it personally affects me, it's because I believe these sort of people are not desirable to have in your life. And I have moral objection to, obviously, their beliefs. So, then I got COVID. I guess this brings me to, I got the coronavirus twice, and a third time later, but had a kind of rough time with the first infection. It took me about 3 months to fully feel better, which was had me worried and was a warning sign. And you can get COVID more than once, for those who don't know. I'm sure many people do now because they've gotten most people who I think have gotten multiple infections by this point, since you can still get infected even after being vaccinated, just at a lower risk of an exposure leading to an active infection. But it still definitely happens. I mean, it always leads to an active infection in the sense the virus gets in your system and tries to replicate a little. But if your immune system is rapid and strong enough, which the vaccine helps, then you can potentially have the virus not be, the infection not even be at detectable levels of virus. But while the vaccine can help cause some infections, stuff like that, not all. People still get active infections that can be just as bad and even kill you, even if you've been vaccinated. The risk is just lower. It's partly because different people have stronger, weaker responses to the vaccine. Some people develop more immunity than others. It's possible to actually do immunological titrations of antibodies to see how strong a response someone gets to a vaccine. Actually, give them a booster. But this hasn't become standard practice with COVID. Probably partly because even the vaccine wears off and you have to get a booster normally. It's not considered cost effective. When I was in grad school, I did get titrations on some vaccines that are supposed to be lifelong to check my immunity, and there was actually 2 that I had weak responses to, and they actually gave me a booster. Things you normally only get vaccinated as an infant against. And that's not uncommon. That's part of why everyone needs to get vaccinated, because a certain percentage of vaccines will be ineffective. In fact, most people are getting, like a dozen vaccines. Chances are there's 1 or 2 that didn't work in almost everyone. Nobody is immune to everything they've been vaccinated against, because not all vaccines or shots won't be effective. The immune system doesn't always form enough antibodies. There's an element of randomness into it without going to the immunological and genetic recombination that leads to that. It's enough to just say that, oh, here's another group of pirates. Where are they? Firepower. I can read their firepower. 156 Omicron. That might be less than my ship. I have 137. Jeez, I think I can destroy this thing. If this is the only... It's just this one pirate. Yeah, I can blow him up. Should be able to defeat him. We can leave the mine turrets on. If they get close enough, they might do a little damage too. Of course, this isn't going to be an easier one-sided fight. I'll try and keep out of range of some of my turrets. Yep. Victory is mine. Can sense it. I've always been frustrated by how that stupid AI will swing around your ship to make it hard to target. I mean, it's smart, but it's incredibly annoying to target. Boy, you can do auto turrets, but they always do much less damage. Annoyingly, which I think is stupid and just makes the game harder for no reason. I would much rather be using auto turrets than having to manually. Ha. That was a relatively weak pirate. Unlike the ones that are currently destroying that research outpost. I think they're still at it. Yeah, they got the shields down to 30%, the stupid thing. I guess there'll be some sweet salvage after it's done. So maybe I might be able to go in there and, while these guys are distracted shooting the thing, pick them off. Let's give it a shot. Come on. Really need to rebind the select key again. Oh, now they're all shooting me. Oh, fuck. Yeah, no, these pirates are way better armed. They're gonna blow me up in no time at all. I don't get the hell out of Dodge. They're not interested enough in me to continue pursuit as long as I get away from them, though. Small fry compared to... These bastards have decided they want to destroy the gate. I think that's... Nope, they're going for the prison transport here. I thought that was a gate. They could try to destroy the gate. It is made of stuff. It's not completely without value. That damage will slowly repair. Keyword slowly. Those guys will definitely come for me though after they've destroyed that outpost. This stupid AI faction doesn't seem that interested in cleaning up the piracy here before it blows up their stations. I mean, I guess it was annoying for players who wanted to do piracy how quickly AI factions used to respond, but this is ridiculous. They've been chipping away at that research outpost for a good 10 minutes, at least, without consequence. So yeah, I got disabled by long COVID. Found out the government hadn't included basically 6 of the jobs of the 12 I'd ever worked. One they had, but they laid the last shift I ever worked that job after I'd just done a new W-2. I don't think that's a coincidence. That must somehow relate. And some other new paperwork to prepare to potentially move from being a student employee to a non-student employee, but I was paying taxes either way, and it should have been counted either way. The shifts I was working, and some of these jobs were completely out of school, so it's not like they were just somehow not counting school ones. Like there's some regulation I'm unaware of. No, they were just screwing me out of large amounts of my work history. And I have too many assets for SSI, which is a ridiculous $1,000 asset limit. And so the only thing I might be able to get is a state program that I have to apply to SSI for to get first. Oh, who's shooting at me? I can try. Ah, wrong button. That was the change in controls. There's 2 of them. I do seem to be able to win, though, against them. Not destroying my armor that fast. I'm probably going to take some permanent damage to the ship to win. Freaking pirates. Probably shouldn't maneuver so much. I'm just missing more shots. It's worth. At least they should maneuver offensively, not try and do any kind of defensive. Maneuvers nonsense. My most effective turret's pretty limited range, so. You think they would bug out after they destroyed one of their kin. Nope. You say you're out. At this point? Yep. He did. He got out. Way. Well, whatever. Wasn't gonna get much from salvage anyhow. I picked up a system or 2. Looks like maybe I got this chain gun. Maybe I had that before. I think I had that. Let's get it out here before I become the next prey of those pirates bullying up the research outpost. I know I saw equipment docks somewhere. Oh. This system. Boom. The level of automation on these stations. You'd think they could take better care of their crew, but they still treat them like garbage. material doesn't matter at all. Except for, I think, you can only improve... You can only combine turrets that are of the same material, or one apart, or something. Or maybe, no, that was rarity. But, if you're combining turrets, it'll affect what the material of the output is. And that mainly just matters for how easily you can mount on a ship. Like, I can mount iron turrets in any block. Any material. Iron, titanium, anything. Whereas neonite needs neonite above. As long as... That's annoying because there are no neonite armor blocks. So around here I prefer iron or titanium turrets. If I can get them. And they tend to actually sell for less. Which is good. Flying defense laser is neonite, annoyingly. Couple point defense cannons, but their DPS is only 8. Which is garbage. Very hard time shooting down any torpedoes with that. This is 19.6. It's just going to be easier to lose. They're already on a little armor piece that's extended beyond the hull. This grid's scale step grid size is too darn small. It's too hard to line things up. Occurs to me I probably don't have... Yep. Oh no, I do have... No, I don't have integrity fields in that little piece. How would I? There, so... This, I probably actually want to go to the smallest possible grid size. That'll work. I'm a little spread, so a single burst of fire won't blow them up, both up, but the further they are from the center, the further out they are from the center mass, and actually harder they make it for the ship to turn or roll. Although such a small part has almost no sniffing effect, but it's just a good principle to keep stuff close to the center of the ship if possible. that's like camouflaged. It's gonna be very hard to see. Turn them black. That at least makes them a little easier to see. Although not if that area is shaded. There we go. Still titanium color, just not. No, it still blends in too much. Well, this shouldn't be titanium core, it's neonite. Anyhow. Benefits from an integrity field generator. So I got COVID. It took me about 3 minutes to recover the first time, but I did recover. And then I got COVID a second time. The first time I got it from family, a situation I had no control over. Staying with one family member, and that family member sent me straight to another after completion of some exams. Still let me return to my apartment in the city. Near school, everything was remote because the pandemic. That was a violation of trust and screwed me over, but I recovered. What they did, that family member did to me, but I recovered. It's because that individual was remarried. It was actually their new spouse who didn't like having me around. And then the second time I got it from a roommate who returned across multiple state lines from a business trip, infected with COVID, even though he should quarantine in place. Didn't tell me until he'd been home for like an hour. Oh, by the way, I didn't have a COVID infection. I can't smell anything. Well, yeah, and then you shouldn't have traveled. That's what he did was illegal, but what was I going to do? Sue him? Someone maybe say I should have, since he literally ruined my life, but by breaking that law, but that doesn't really help much. It's not like he could have. Why can't I select this stupid part? There's gotta. Select cannot be on the middle mouse button. That doesn't work reliably. I hate it. Nothing should rebound to middle mouse buttons. That's incredibly dumb. I wonder if it's the flight control slot. This is just a terrible key to use regardless. That'll work. I don't think that key is set to anything. Work, but I prefer something closer to. Yeah, I have no desire to show the council, so. Let's see if this works. Yep. Alright. So it's 3.9 meters long. Let's get up to a solid 4. So it'd be 2 by 4. Alright. I'm having to use control so that both with sworn shift word there. It sounded like it wasn't working. Some of the largest turrets can be as much as a base of 1 meter across. So this should use well, actually really big ones can be 2 meters, but I won't be using anything that large in this sector. So no more. I could actually fit 2 turrets side by side. The thing would be 4 times as long as those large turrets. Cool. There's here we go. That cap is just a little too big. Just wanted to see if there's anything preventing. I should actually do. That's too much. Let's create a thicker piece. Reason for that is most of the shots that come at it will be coming from this direction. If I make it longer or wider, it'll take more damage because it'll intercept more of the shots at the side. But if I make it thicker, I increase the health without increasing that too much. Increasing the effective time until it gets destroyed in a firefight. It's important because I'll be mounting point defenses on this. That's why I went through all this effort. These need to go bye-bye. They're I'll do that. Actually, instead of this, what we want is edge armor. shape. But not that thick, obviously. Actually, probably longer than this. There we go. The reason I want that triangular shape is so a point defense mount here. Get an angle right back towards the engines, and also shots coming along this way won't hit it. It's jutting out as much as a more streamlined shape. Looking, I'm noticing there's a I still have an iron cargo bay on the ship. Interesting, but there's this gap which some shots could go into and hit, though unlikely. Oh, excuse me. But this will be fine for now. If a shot does hit this cargo bay, it's got enough health that the few shots that make its way in won't destroy it. There's actually a small armor piece to plug this gap might get destroyed. It will actually have less health. After seeing this, I think I can do better. I don't think a 4-meter long pieces can cause issues, so that's the absolute longest the game will let me do. It won't really let me do more overhang without the way I would have to is make it a square part, merge longer, and then convert it into a triangular part with direct replacement, which can get very buggy. Although let's see, I have to remember the replace button. Oh yeah, it's Alt. Just put one of these over here just for reference, in case this goes haywire. Wants to transform to edge armor that's facing the wrong way is the problem. You can see it's triangular like that. I don't know if there's a way to get to orient it correctly. Nope. Probably not. Could do. Oops. So I thought. There's other shapes I could actually transform this into, and instead of such as corner armor. I actually want square corner armor. Or this. Maintaining some of the line of sight. Not all. Yeah, that might not actually be a terrible idea. Tries to convert that. Doesn't seem to understand mirroring. Oh. That was part of the problem. We're merged. Voila. Gradually tapers to a point. Point defense cannons here and here. Yeah, there won't be much Vox visibility at all. Eventually, though, for now, let's put one here. Unfortunately, I don't have this replicated, so I'd spend a lot of time. I could build a custom turret for this, but to give it a little more firing distance over the top. So this armor is just a little bit intrusive, creates a little bit of a dead spot back here, but it's not as bad as if it didn't taper on the corners. So it's not as much here and here. These are actually the main. because that thing is a little more effective than two of these. There we go. Oh. I feel like I'd rather have them spaced a little apart. The further back there, the harder time they'll have shooting things in front. Yeah, that'll work. It's not symmetrical, but this thing is worth more than both of these combined. Stronger point defenses than before. I can actually do have use front armor block. Like the one I got solely got rid of here. Also, I put him not the very. If I put something up at the top of this gap, it could be hit from something straight on the top. So there's that. Cool. Nice streamlined armor design. I'm not gonna bother dealing with the back right now, but streamline the front for sure. Cutting the corner off here also helps with shots that glance this way, not hitting a corner instead of just missing the ship. Although it's more cut off as necessary strictly for that. Of course, saving mass. The more mass the ship gets, the harder it is to make jumps. In fact, I'm probably already pushing him with added armor. What's the range on this? 5 point. Okay, yeah, I probably actually want this front since I do almost all my aiming from the that's where I normally put mining turrets for their ridiculously short ranges. Oh, buddy, yeah, I'll put it here. Can't mount on here, but it can mount. Actually, partly off this, over covering that gap whenever I want as far forward as I can. Sorry for the mic bump. Looks like there's still room for 4 more slots for mining turrets, which or another point defense and 3 more mining turrets, more likely. There are slots where some are 2 slot turrets that are available, though. Haven't seen one of those yet. Oh, here's a 2 slot. So a 2 slot, another 1 maybe. Currently at 3 turrets. I could go to 5. Something like that. Anyhow. Or use heavier ones. Replace one of these with a 2 slot. You guys get the idea. Probably most remaining turret slots is the point. But the point is I want to go to mining to speed that up. But my ship, let's see, its firepower is now 277, so it's better than before. It still has many of the pirates, but more durable. And this is a mining ship, so it doesn't need to be super heavily armed. Just capable of defending itself. Armor is cheaper than extra guns in terms of long-term upkeep costs for at least smaller ships. That balance shifts the bigger a ship gets for adding to overall combat effectiveness. Our miners are the ones that use cargo bays. They're way more efficient. I do have enough money for one of these. I have to dock again, but because I'm actually going to build mode, relocate the ship a little bit away from for safety. This is DNA. When it comes to mining turrets, material does matter, unlike combat turrets. Cool. That should actually fill my remaining slots. I don't think I have the crew to man the extra turrets. Nope. Well, eventually. Guess I hadn't forgot to set the fleet to automatically pay my crew. Auto pay crews, yes please. It's usually worth paying them. Until the gunners level rank up, I'll need another guy in gunning. So yeah, I'll need to hire a couple more miners. Which actually felt my crew capacity. Not leaving me room for captains. I might pick up as I go. On the other hand, I have a surplus mechanic. An engineer. These guys will eventually level up to where they can handle 2 more turrets. These are even longer rate. Well, doesn't matter. I want to prioritize mining. Yeah, this is garbage anyway. I could never use the titanium really. I mean, iron mining turret anymore. It's mostly junk. Since the AI will try and relocate to the side of your ship that has less guns, doesn't seem to, I don't think, distinguish between mining turrets, point defense. It just goes by DPS, which of course makes mine turrets not make a big impact. Enemies will try and get on this side of the ship, because it's more lightly armed. So I'll put the mine turret on this side. You know what? This is too vulnerable. It does have an integrity field, thankfully, but extend this out. So allow me to also put these mining turrets a little further forward where they should be less obstructed. And this one as well. Titanium mine turrets can mine neonate asteroids, but they do it so at a greatly reduced rate. This thing has a pathetic range, much shorter than the rest, so I'll probably just stick with these three. That's all I have crew for right now anyhow. So it's a little more durable, except more likely to get hit by asteroids. Solution to that is to stick an armor block in the front. Actually, should be able to do this now. Can't overhang to air, but it can overhang into other materials. Oop, that one place, just not the other. So obstructed, unfortunately, but without this armor, most collisions would just wreck the exposed hull there, and enemies shooting at the front of the ship too. Cool. By using elongated integrity fields, it can reach all the way up here while still being back here where it's better protected. It's maybe not optimal, but I would have to otherwise say, hide a little piece between these two blocks and have a weak connection that could be destroyed between them. There's some very sophisticated alternatives to this. It's just, they're pretty complex. That's, for a simple system, it's one of the best options. Alright, This also provides me an opportunity to add a thin layer of armor here to catch some of the shots that would hit the top of this neonite bit. Oops. Needs to at least be replicated. Why? I'll go a little further forward because if it's too small, even a single shot can destroy it. It's not ideal. There we go. Total dimensions are like this. This is actually lifted above it, but because of the blocks being slightly offset from they really should appear to be, it looks like there's a little overlap between these two, but really they should just be flush with each other here. Nothing is overlapping. Things are directly touching, which is, I think, good, because if blocks are touching other blocks in a ship, they break off. So as blocks get destroyed, this might create an alternate connection between here and here. If this does, maybe it might just go by a root system where if this gets destroyed, it doesn't matter. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's got turrets attached. I was gonna destroy it to see if it... I should probably remove those anyhow, actually. The reason for that being, although quickly, yeah, that no longer, it's now has two points attachment, works correctly, good. Make this a little thicker. Right. Collision damage reduction, 36 hit points. It's not much, but every bit helps. I do believe. That's as far forward as they can go. But that shouldn't block much. the primary weapons. This nonsense, which has 18 DPS, will be replaced by this, which has 90. Unfortunately, it can't be a why not both because I don't have enough gunners or turret slots that have fire control systems to run both. That's I don't have. Oh, come on. One slot. $21 for 2 slots. Long-range dual chain gun. Let's go bye wherever I put that. Where is it? Oh, on the bottom here. Cool. Maybe the sides are a bad spot for getting in the way of this gun. Not be able to fire back this way. Okay. Want is this to be as far forward as possible without angling down. Because angling down make it a little harder to fire back. Or it'll make its default angle point inwards, so hard to get stuff up in this way. It would take longer to respond. You can actually, if I remember, set the default turret angle so it's like positioned up. It needs a custom turret. Maybe I'm just thinking from the deaths. I know you can do it there. This one you could do in this game too. I also play from the deaths, which is another kind of shipbuilding game, which is ship and exploration in this game, but it's got some similarities. This. Yeah, I have 3 of these. Turret slots for the last one though. Problem with lasers is they use your ship's energy when they shoot. They're 100% accurate. So they'll work effectively at much greater range. point, and enemies will decide whether your ship's worth attacking by its DPS. So higher DPS, lower the risk, at least off the map. Reduce chance of being considered weak for an area, which is what will really get you. Alright, I just need a spot for the fierce laser now. I've got some extra guns for when I get bigger ship. Or build my first station eventually. Let's see. I don't mind a limited arc of fire for this because so limited one. Won't have enough battery charge to fire all the time anyhow. But yeah, my ship's limited electrical subsystems, that's the best I can do. Got some excess stuff to either eventually sell or use for a station or a trade ship. It'll fly with escorts and not need to be super well armed itself. Got enough money to pay a crew for quite a while. No longer considered weak for the system. Alright, this is probably a good place to save. Also, next time I log in, there might be new deals in the equipment dock. So, I did some mining in a more dangerous system. Got attacked by some pirates, beat the pirates, upgrade my ship. I'm almost ready to proceed further towards the core and then mine some trinium and then proceed a bit further and then start speculating on some real estate. That is build a station. I wanted to say something about speculating about real estate. Speculating on real estate because I was thinking about how middle class families in America bought real estate as a quote investment, except it's not an investment. Investments are things that make money by producing something. Buying real estate in the hopes it'll go up in price is really just speculation. It's no different than speculating in the stock market or anything else, except you're tying your housing to it and making housing a necessary good to live more expensive. Can't blame people for doing that when they had no other option to build wealth, but in America, but it's become a toxic system that needs to be undone, even though it's going to be problematic to do so. But the type of real estate I'm talking about is just space, like empty, literal outer space, and building stations to solar farms and wheat farms and spice farms and stuff like that that can be built anywhere, and some asteroid mines if I get the right spots. It's cool stuff. I look forward to Getting started on that on camera for some of you guys in not too long. Until next time, that's not for now. Until next time, this is Northstar signing off. I wish you all the best. Take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves. And may you always find a guiding star to lead you home. Adieu.